Hi everyone and welcome back to National League Lowdown with me, Dan. As you can see, I'm joined by Craig and Louis. Craig, how are you, mate? You okay?
Yeah, very well, thank you, mate. Looking forward to predicting the games for the weekend. It seems to be everyone at the top's playing everyone at the top, and everyone at the bottom seems to be playing everyone at the bottom. So a lot of 6-pointers this coming weekend, if they're on, of course, with the weather still not being kind to us.
Yeah, I think I said to you before we went live, didn't I, Craig? I was like, this might be the best game week we've had so far this season. There's so many games with so many connotations, so I'm looking forward to talking about them. Louis, how are you, mate? You okay?
Yeah, all good. Thanks, Dan. I'd argue this is the biggest weekend of the season coming up. All the teams at the top playing each other, all the teams at the bottom playing each other. It could be decisive come the end of the season. Teams get wins and losses this weekend.
Yeah, definitely. Like I say, hopefully most of them will beat the weather, but I've got a feeling a couple of them might succumb to the weather, sadly. So hopefully they're the ones that maybe don't mean as much in terms of the bottom and the top of the table. So before we do that, we're gonna go into Tuesday night's games. So there was three games. We're gonna start with Rochdale 4, Boreham 1. I watched this game. I was very impressed with Rochdale. I thought it was a very professional job, but also very dominant. Like they were pressing Boreham high up the pitch. Boreham couldn't get out for at least 35 minutes. Rochdale took the lead through Devante Rodney. Great crossing from Adebayo Rawlin. Headed home, and then the rest of the game was about Manny D. Everyone knows I'm the chairman of the fan club, so I'll talk about it. But everything attacking wise goes through him, whether it's flick ons, hold up play, laying the ball off, playing it out wide, and then him busting the gut to get in the box, to get in them areas. And then he gave them a 2-goal lead from a corner that came in, towering header. Like he was miles ahead of everybody else, like towering header, 2-0. And you think game over at this point, given how good Rochdale's defensive record is. Boreham Wood, Luke Garrard, you could hear him in the audio shouting at the players. I couldn't quite make it out, but I can't imagine it was good things that he was shouting. It wasn't the Boreham Wood that I'd seen previously when they played Carlisle and things like that. It was definitely a poorer outfit. I know they were missing Regan Booty suspension. They had a couple of suspensions, so I know that will play a part. And then 3-0 in the second half. It was just dominance from Manny D again. Just he wanted it more than the defender. Got on the end of it, took a couple of touches, volleyed it home, and it was just again, he just showed that he wanted it more, which again is something that you want from your front man. You want him dominating the defenders and winning the ball in them 50-50s, and then to get the goal 3-0. And then I thought it was game over, so I kind of flicked the channel a little bit and put Forest Green on just to see what was going on in that game. And then I missed the penalty for Boreham Wood to come back into it. So you think, oh, you never know, there's a bit here, there. And then Rochdale made a couple of substitutions. I said to Craig they were resting everybody for Carlisle on Saturday, rotating Manny D. I think they took Berger off. They took a couple of other players off as well, Gilmore maybe, and they were just resting the key players for Saturday. And then Ian Henderson comes on, and you think, here we go. We've got rid of Manny D. Now we've got Ian Henderson, Rochdale's greatest ever player probably, coming off the bench. He had one ruled out for offside. And then he got his goal. Great cross in, tapped it in, but he made the great run to get in that area at the time. And 4-1, and they've seen it out comfortably. And again, we talk about York, about running out of superlatives to talk about them, but Rochdale's exactly the same. It's just relentless from both of them. And they're just a class above everybody else, in my opinion. I genuinely can see a world where neither of them slip up, or if there is a case where one slips up, the other one might do it on the same weekend. So we end up where they're just going tit for tat every week. So it could go down to that last game. But I was very impressed with Rochdale. Boreham Wood, 4 defeats on the spin now. That it's got to be worrying. I know again, context is key. That they're already overachieving and doing way better than they thought. But they've kind of got to stop this rot now because they are dropping down a little bit. Southend, I'll have one eye on them with games in hand. They'll just need to want to stop the rot at some point. They've got Woking away this weekend. That's not exactly the game you need when you need a bit of a gimme 3 points. So we'll see what happens with them. But Luke Garrard wasn't happy, and I don't blame him because it was a poor performance by them, but dominant from Rochdale. Craig, what did you make of this one?
Yeah, I think dominant's the perfect word for it. I think Rochdale are probably, as we already said, and everyone knows now, it's between them and York at the top. It's going to take something very catastrophic for either of them two, probably not to win the league now. They seem to be a step above the rest. Oliver Watnoff made an excellent save at 2-0 as well. Could have been a different game if they've gone in at 2-1 at half time. He's an excellent young goalkeeper. Again, I'm not going to sit here and sing his praises again because we've done it a million times already this season. But yeah, it's the return of the big man up front, Emmanuel Disaruve. I'm going to try for his full name now. They've got too many D's in there. But yeah, definitely the better one of the two, no doubts of that. But Doku's obviously a very good, able replacement, probably a step up from Amanchi in that department as well. But yeah, Manny D coming on, scoring 2 goals and getting rested is pretty much perfect for them with this running in February, because the February running for all the teams seems to be pretty tight and playing big teams. But for Rochdale especially, I think that was the first of 8 for them in February. So they've got a very, very busy month. And it'll be interesting how far they're above York at the end of February. I think that's when we can really start calling a favourite out the two. At the minute, it feels like it's a toss of the coin for me which one will win it. But if Rochdale can continue this form, they'll end up 5, 6, 7, 8 points above York by the time the games kind of align, and then it will be theirs to lose. But York will be waiting in the wings, no doubt about that. They're not going to suddenly disappear from this title race. But it does feel very much 2 teams in it. Boreham Wood, I'm not saying they're going to lose against Woking on Saturday, but I saw a fact that they could go from 5 games, 15 points to 5 games, 0 points. And that can't happen very often in this league, I imagine, if it ever has at all. That can be quite an interesting one. So that'd be one to watch at the weekends. One thing I will say about Luke Garrett is obviously standards were extremely high during the game, and he was cut a frustrated figure when he came out after the game. Although he was disappointed, he's basically just done what we've just done, and he just sung the praises of Rochdale and said how good they are. And when a man who's got such high standards like that comes out and really praises the other team, that shows Rochdale are a special side. But yeah, Boreham Wood have just got to be mindful of this slump. We talked about it when it was 2, don't let it go to 3. When it was 3, don't let it go to 4. Well, now it's 4, do not let it go to 5. Even a point at Woking will be a good result for them now, just to stop that slide happening. He's made a few changes to the team, obviously suspensions, rotation. Louis said in the last one, obviously he's brought back some experience. It hasn't seemed to have been the answer so far. So back to the training ground for them. And yeah, big game at Woking to stop the rot. And Rochdale have the easy task of Carlisle at home on Saturday.
Yeah, facts, mate, facts. Louis, what did you make of this one?
Yeah, complete performance from Rochdale. I think at the end of the season, it could come down to goal difference, and you think they've gone and plundered in 4 against the side at the top of the table. It could be crucial come the end of the season, and you have to have that relentless nature in this league because, as I said, it could be 1 goal that wins it, considering the form that both sides are on. Horrific start for Wood. It's just the worst possible start. It's a complete free header for Rudney for the opening goal, and you've got a huge uphill task already going to Rochdale, who've had that extra break as well compared to Boreham Wood, given that Boreham Wood played on the Saturday, but they just didn't get near them. And Disarray, obviously we spoke about, and he's a complete striker. When you look at him, people who maybe don't watch the National League probably think he's a typical number 9. He lump it forward to him and he can hold the ball up, but his footwork and his ball control is outstanding as well. I mean, you saw it from his second goal when he sort of shoved off Bush, took it up. There's like a mini scorpion kick, and then tucked it away. It's a lovely finish. And he's an outstanding striker. I wonder whether he could get close to Pearce in the Golden Boot charts. I think he's 12 behind now. So obviously got the 2 games in hand, which, depending if he goes and gets 2 braces in them, knocks off a couple of goals there. But it's whether Pearce keeps his goal scoring record going, which I think he will. But he could close that gap, Disarray, which would be an interesting thing to see. And yeah, Ian Henderson, lovely movement for him for his 4th goal. 41 years old. It's incredible to see him keep going. I saw him score for Norwich in 2005 at the Withdean at Brighton. So full credit to him in his longevity of his career. And he's popping up with goals. He's got 5 this season, I think it is now, 4 or 5. So yeah, full credit to him. Boreham Wood, it's weird how poor they were defensively. Sort of not sure what to do in the game. Some of the players were diving into challenges, some were setting off. I think it's a team that maybe isn't really suited at the moment to playing with each other. And you look at the starting lineup for the games when they beat Wealdstone and they beat Carlisle at the end of December. There's 5 changes to that side last night from those games, albeit there are 2 suspensions. But Callum Reynolds is a big miss for them. I think he's currently injured at the moment, their captain. And I just don't think they've replaced Jeff King, in my opinion. I think they brought in that lad from West Ham, Robinson, who we had on loan last year, and he played 45 minutes for us. And yeah, I think there's such a big issue for them in terms of that, how big of a player he was for them going forward and defensively. And as you say, they've got to stop the rot soon because they could be sliding and sliding out of the playoffs if it carries on like this.
Yeah, definitely, and it just goes back to what I said on our transfer special, wasn't it? Where the York bringing Jeff King back and things like that was like a masterstroke. They've not only strengthened themselves, but they've weakened Boreham Wood at the same time. So it's just looking an even better deal every time when you see it now. Next up, we've got Forest Green 4, Woking 2. Craig, what did you make of this one, mate?
Yeah, so a good game. 3 goals in the first 16 minutes. Woking took the lead through Sanderson, who's been in really good form for Woking over the season. He's one of those that's just chipping in, and then you look at the end and he's got somewhere between 10 and 15 probably towards the end of the season, and you think that's a good total for him. Kirkloff got the goal back for Forest Green, his first for them, and then you think you've only got about 30 seconds to think that Forest Green are probably going to kick on from here, because Woking went straight up the other end and made it 2-1. And then from there, Forest Green obviously had a lot more possession. They were coming into the game, but it took 2 after half time for Nick Houghton, who's having an okay season, I'd say, but probably not hitting the heights that people expected he would. He's been in and out of the team there. He's not been as influential for them as expected, but they have got so many different options that maybe he's one that, I don't want to say it, I don't want to be harsh on it, but maybe big fish, small ponds comes to mind, and he's better being a big fish in a small pond than just a fish in a normal sized pond kind of thing. So it'd be worth keeping an eye on that one. Ricardo Rees then made it 3-2, so the goals seem to come in clusters because they were only 3 minutes apart. And then Woking had Josh Asude on the pitch, and I was watching it, and he's such a road runner. He's so quick, and it felt like he was going to create them something. There was a couple of times he got onto things that maybe Forest Green were like, hang on, how's he got there? And he was causing a bit of worry, and there was a little bit of panic in Forest Green, so they'll be delighted when Tom Knowles made it 4-2. It's a great effort from him, but I'd be turning around straight away and looking at my goalkeeper and expecting him to do a little bit better. It came with power, it moved a bit, but it was fairly central, and that kind of killed the game. There was still about 7 minutes added on, so Woking knocked on the door, but it was more of a gentle knock than trying to ever smash it down kind of thing. And Forest Green will be pleased with the resilience they showed coming back from behind twice in that game to ultimately then kind of be fairly comfortable in the last 10, 15 minutes. They'll be happy with that, especially as at one stage, I think Louis pointed out in the chat that Southend, if they won all their games in hand, they would have gone off above Forest Green if they lost that, and they'd have started to panic a little bit then. But to win that game and Boreham Wood to lose has kind of actually moved Forest Green up the table. So that's a good day for them. Obviously, there's been rumours today of Robbie Savage getting linked with Blackburn. I think that is all that is at the moment is rumours, but one to keep an eye on because it's a big opportunity for him if they do come knocking. But at the minute, I think it's all just rumours.
Yeah, he did kind of shoot it down a little bit, but apparently in the odds or the favourite for the job is now Robbie Savage. So a lot of the time the bookies don't get it wrong. So they must have heard something somewhere.
It's a big step though. Big step.
Yeah, huge step for him. Huge
championship side.
Yeah, definitely. But again, a club that he played for, a club that he knows. It could happen. Mark Hughes has been linked there as well. I've seen a few Carlisle supporters on social media saying they'll drive him there. I think that's a bit drastic, even though I have questioned Hughes myself, but I wouldn't be driving him to Blackburn. But we'll wait and see what happens there. Louis, what did you make of this one?
It's a long old way for Blackburn to Carlisle, really, isn't it, considering how far north you are. Yeah, it's a massive win for Forest Green. They had to win this game, I think. I think it was the perfect first half from Woking, really. They had very few chances, but they took them. And as you say, it was a lovely finish from Sanderson. It's questionable defending because he's kind of free in the middle of the box. And when you leave a striker of his quality to have that sort of chance one-on-one, he probably will finish it. And as Craig said, at the end of the season, he will have a good goal tally because he's a good striker. It's interesting when watching the highlights how many chances Forest Green had from how many shots they had from outside the box. It seemed as if Woking had fairly restricted them to it, and then you look at the end of the game, only 4 out of Forest Green's 17 attempts were from inside the penalty area, and 2 of them with the goal. So Rees and Kirrick's goal were one of 2 of the 4 that they had inside the box. Yeah, first win in 5 for Forest Green, an absolutely crucial win for them just to sort of steady the ship ahead of what is a tough fixture. There's York away, Carlisle away, not Carlisle away, Rochdale away, Carlisle at home, Boreham Wood away in the next 4. And it was interesting to hear Savage's post matches because he spoke about that Forest Green are building the foundations, the bricks are getting laid, and the roof will eventually come, whether that's this year, next year, or in 2 years. So it seems whether it's a tactic to take pressure off his side, because I remember after the Brackley defeat around Christmas time, he said they were out of the title race, whether he's trying to deflect the attention away from his side by saying that. But if that is the case, I can't imagine he will be going to Blackburn because he sees Forest Green as his project. And he's doing a good job so far. And if they stay in there, there's a huge chance for them to win the playoffs.
Yeah, definitely. Next up, we've got Altrincham 1, Morecambe 1. Louis, I know you watched this game. How did you see this one?
Yeah, it's a game of two halves, really. First half was pretty poor, not much in it, lacking in quality, I think. And the second half was quite an entertaining game. It can be a bit of a basketball game at times. It was a massive chance in the first 60 seconds to pop off. It was a good save from Hutchinson. It was quite quick in terms of how they got forward, Morecambe, which is obviously the change in manager and the change in style that's come about. And ultimately had a good chance about 2 minutes later as well, a shot from the left-hand side, which was saved well by Blackman. And that was about it for the first half. As I said, very lacking in quality. Neither side really took control of the game. It was a bit bitty and a lot of sort of play in the middle third that never really went anywhere. And then the moment of quality came 3 minutes into the second half. Jack Nolan with a lovely free kick placed it in. Don't know whether it came in off the post, but it certainly came in off the side netting. And it's what the game needed. It sparked into life. A couple of minutes later, Crenshaw showed his quality. Obviously, Mark's a big fan of his. He came into a tight position in the box. He turns, he gets past his man, and he puts it into the top corner. It's a lovely finish from him. And I'd argue it's a fairly even game. I think in the second half, both sides probably say they had chances to win it. But overall, I probably would have said it's a draw, it's a fair result. But it was an entertaining second half. Probably a better point for Morecambe given their circumstances. You maybe take a point on the road against a relegation rival, albeit considering they got Truro at home on Saturday as well. So it's another game that they can look to get 3 points from probably. But they looked defensively solid, which I'd never thought I'd say about Morecambe. But that's the impact that Jim Bentley's had on his side. Obviously, we spoke to Dave on the previous podcast, and he said the first thing you'll do was make sure they're defensively solid. And I think he's done that. They had two clear banks of four in the game when they were defending. He pushed the Z's up further up the pitch, which I think Morecambe fans have called for as well, because he's a very good technical player. And it allowed them to sort of nick the possession higher up the pitch at times as well. So yeah, a good point for Morecambe, I think, a good start for Jim Bentley, and they'll hope to build on it on Saturday, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I watched like the last 5 minutes of that game. Like I said, the Rochdale game was over with, so I kind of put it on, and there was a couple of chances later on for Morecambe, wasn't there? I think one was like a long throw in or a free kick, and it kind of got cleared off the line. There was a penalty shout
as well.
Yeah, the one where I think Callum's put it out on our social media anyways, where he kind of nicked in behind the defender. The defender had a little pull on him. He's went down. I think he probably went down too dramatically to get the foul. But I have seen them given, I would say that. So
it's similar to the one that Boston got against Boreham Wood on the weekend, where the defender's obviously gone to make contact with him, whether he's made enough contact. But in that position, if you are the striker, you are going to go down, because it's a silly thing for the defender to do to try and make that contact. And I think they had another claim a couple of minutes before. It was either handball or something from that long throw, I think. Yeah, Jim Bentley mentioned that one in his post-match. So yeah, maybe Altrincham were lucky to escape with the point, considering. Because I did hear from some Morecambe fans from another angle that it looked like a penalty, and they had that chance cleared off the line as well, where Dion Edwards had a shot and it was spooned by Hutchinson in goal. It was cleared off the line by the option there. So yeah, the closer chances for Morecambe. It's a point fair result, I think.
yeah, they'll take the point one under the new manager. Like you say, they've got a game at home at the weekend that they're looking at for 3 points. I don't think they'll be too disappointed. It's definitely a better point for Morecambe than it is for Altrincham, I think. Craig, what did you make of this one, mate?
Yeah, I think it's probably gone to how you'd expect this one to go. And obviously, we put our predictions in before the seconds and all that kind of stuff. But if you'd have said on Tuesday morning, how do you think this game's going to go? It'll be a tight affair. Morecambe will probably get in the lead, but because they're playing a different style, a bit more competitive, they may run out of steam and Altrincham will get one back. And that kind of followed that theme. But then, as you said, Morecambe did come knocking again towards the end. But draw seems a fair result, and ultimately it doesn't do great for either team. But as Louis said, as the team at the bottom, stopping the rot, it's not a bad one for Morecambe. It's a better point, as you said, if they beat Truro at the weekend as well. 4 from 6 is good. 1 or 2 from 6 is probably not good enough for them to stay up. But it's a good starting point, and them fans have just felt like they've got their team back there. They were hard to beat. Banks of 4, quality going forwards. They're just still looking for that striker. I know Cole Stockton was linked there a lot over the last couple of days. I think that maybe was a bit of a fairy tale for them, but I reckon they'll still be in the market for someone. I think they can still sign from the EFL, but they can't obviously have anyone go into the EFL. So they might still find someone that can fire some goals to safety. Although I haven't completely disliked Musgrave, and I think he might be worth a shout up there a bit more because he was in good spells earlier in the season before injury problems. So one to keep an eye on perhaps. But Popov might come good as well. He looked quite lively yesterday, and maybe the system might suit him a little bit more. But yeah, they need goals. They need goals to stay up, and not sure they got them in the team, but we'll have to wait and see on that one.
Yeah, and Dave said the same, didn't he, on the previous pod, that they need goals, they need a striker. Yeah, well, Dave knows his stuff, so we'll go with Dave.
The commentators last night called Joe Nuttall firepower from the bench, so I wouldn't necessarily agree he's the man to save their season up front. Bless him. But yeah, maybe Popov did have a few chances, so if you can put them away, he might get his tally up and going.
He might pop them off into the top corner soon.
It's 6-7 all over again. Yeah, so anyways, so next up we're going to do our predictions for the weekend, but first, Craig, have you got the update from the predictions from this weekend? Not a great week from myself.
I don't have them completely, but I can tell you who won it because it was myself, so I remember that. And it was down to that Altrincham Morecambe game. Even before Ashford Singh Jahal left, I had that down as 1-1. So that kind of edged me above our guest. I think it was 16-11. I got 16, he got 11. I think Louis got 10.
Yeah, that's just below the guest.
Yeah, Dan got 8 and Mark got 6 there. So I kind of pushed away from Dan because over the last couple of weeks he'd been creeping up on me. And I made small gains on Louis and the guest, but not enough to topple either of them yet.
Yeah.
But we've got games coming thick and fast now. We've got two supposed game weeks of 12 coming up within the next 5 days. So it could be manic and there could be some big results because, as we said, it seems to be everyone at the top's playing everyone at the top and everyone at the bottom's playing everyone at the bottom. As me and Louis will find out next week when our two teams play each other on Wednesday night.
Yeah, and thanks to Mike, the Carlisle supporter, who done our guest predictions for this week. 11 points isn't too shabby, and we've had guests that have had less than that, so it's definitely a good going.
I mean, we usually get less than that, so
yeah. I mean, it's not hard to be better than me. So well done, Mike. Craig was just a little bit better this week. So we're gonna do what we've done is we've split the 12 games. We're gonna do 4 games each. We're gonna do them in order, just of alphabetically, because there's no early game I don't think this weekend, so we're going to do, so I'm first. So Aldershot, Halifax, we've got 2 informed sides. Aldershot have got 1 defeat in 7 league games. They're scoring lots of goals. They've tightened up a little bit at the back in recent weeks. Halifax 1 defeat in the last 8 league games, firing as well. So I think this could be like low-key one of the best games of the weekend. It's not necessarily one that we're looking at where the top's playing the top and the bottom's playing the bottom. This is kind of contrasting, but I think it could be a good game with 2 informed sides. I can't split them, so I've gone for a Desmond. I've gone 2-2 on this one. I think both sides will probably take that, given the form they're both in. They'll, carry the unbeaten run on type thing. Craig, what have you got for this one?
Yeah, this is a game I'll be shocked if it's 0-0. There feels like there's definitely goals in this one. I do think there'll be a winner, though, and I think Halifax will keep pushing on. I'm going to go 3-2 Halifax.
Louis?
Yeah, I think this would be a good game. Obviously, Josh Amami didn't make the move in the transfer market for Halifax either, so whether he comes back to the side would be to see. I've gone 2-1 Halifax on this. I think they'll just have enough quality to get through this game.
Next up, we've got Altrincham Yeovil. Craig?
Yeah, so as we stand, both of these teams are only sitting 3 points above the drop zone on identical points, although Altrincham have played 30 and Yeovil have only played 27. Form for both teams has been pretty poor as well. Yeovil have lost 3 of their last 5 league games. Altrincham have only won 1 of their last 5. So they've both kind of averaged 3 or 4 points from their last 5 games. So nothing too special. Now, Yeovil, of course, advanced in the trophy at the weekend. They've got Southport away in the next stage of that. So they've got a good opportunity to get to the semi-finals. it might get to where Mark's thinking that why they think they're safe, will they start prioritising that? I think they've got to be very, very careful of that because they are, as I said, only 3 points above the drop. Granted, the teams around them, they've actually played the least amount of games at the moment from the 11 that I'd say are in contention to go down. Really, really tough game to call this one. Altrincham obviously drew yesterday as well, so Yeovil have had a little bit more preparation time. So I'm going to go for an away win on this one. I'm going to go 2-1 to Yeovil.
Yeah, for me, I'm similar. I worry for Altrincham now. I don't know. I know I said Boston, but Boston obviously changed the manager. I think Altrincham look like they're in a little bit of trouble now. They'll definitely have one eye over the shoulder, if not both now. I've got 2-1 Yeovil as well. Louis?
Yeah, having watched Altrincham last night, I do worry where their goals are going to come from. They just lack that firepower up front. I've gone 1-0 Yeovil.
Next up, we've got Boston Sutton. Louis, over to you, mate.
Yeah, one of the 6 pointers of the weekend. This is a must-not-lose game for either side, I think. Boston have obviously picked up their good result against Boreham last week, a good win on the trip on the road, but it's at home that they're really struggling this season. 23rd in the league for home form. Their last win came on the 24th of September still, so it's a long time ago now, and 9 points from a possible 42 from them at home. But they have picked up 5 points from the last 12 games. So they've won 1, drawn 2, and lost 1. But one clean sheet in their previous 10 games in all competitions as well. So expect some goals potentially in this one, but not too many, I don't think, because you consider for Sutton, we had 19 goals in 7 matches in November, but we've had 7 goals in 9 games since then. So there's been a bit of drop off, but we have been better defensively. We've only conceded 5 goals in our last 6 games, and we played Southend, Forest Green, York, and 10 points from a possible 39 away from home. So our away form is what's keeping us down the bottom, I think. I think what's key here is whether Lewis Simper turns up. He's only had 1 assist and 0 goals in our last 8 games. He has hit the woodwork twice, and there was rumours of a move potentially. He was linked with the EFL clubs, I think, but given the performance he's had, I think this is a low margins game. I can see either team winning at 1-0, but I have gone and sat on the fence. I've gone 1-1 in this one.
I had a feeling you were going to say that, mate. I've got 1-1 as well. I can't split. I can't split them. There's so many factors in there, and Louis mentioned most of them, which is obviously Boston's home form, Sutton aren't scoring many goals, things like that. All factors. So again, when I can't split them, I'm just going to go for a draw. Craig?
Room for me on that fence, 1-1.
Oh, unanimous. I mean, we'll wait for Mark's predictions. We'll put them out on socials at the weekend. I think he has done them, but I can't remember what he had for it. Next up, we've got Brackley Solihull, which is back to me. Brackley obviously lost Gavin Cowan, still unbeaten in the last 6. I know we spoke, I think, on the previous pod where I think Craig was concerned for them potentially getting dragged down into them relegation places, and I agree. I think they do need to start scoring more goals. Solihull lost 3 of the last 8, but they were to York, Rochdale, and Boreham Wood, and they drew to Carlisle. So they've had some hard games in there. So you can't really read too much into their form. But you look at the games in and around them 8 that I mentioned: the hammered Aldershot, the hammered Sutton, sorry Louis, and the hammered Tamworth. So they are beating the teams that they should be beating, if that makes sense. And the teams at the top end of the table, they may be struggling a little bit more against. So for me in this one, I've gone 3-1 Solihull. I think they get back to winning ways in this one. Craig?
Yeah, pretty much agree, except for I don't think Brackley will score. I've gone 2-0 Solihull.
Louis?
Yeah, I think Solihull aren't good enough to match the top 7, but they're significantly better than the sides at the bottom. I think I've gone with Craig. I've gone 2-0 Solihull.
Next up, we've got an absolute classic for Craig here: Gateshead Braintree. What are you expecting from this one, mate?
Yeah, so Gateshead have not won at home since the 23rd of August. So I'm just getting my stats out here. 23rd of August, they beat Tamworth 2-1 at home. No win in 14 league games, but it feels like it's been a lifetime since they last played, to be fair. They've had games called off. They've had teams in a trophy that they're going to be playing. So they've had lots of time together under, obviously, Rob Elliott to maybe work on style and shape, and lots of time to get kind of close-knitted as a team, which is very important when you're down the bottom. Braintree did win on Saturday, in case you forgot. It was their first win in 5. We've also not scored in 16 games, though, in this season. So we do like to not score. It can be a problem for us, and it seems to be quite a problem away from home as well. We've only won 2 away wins. That's 2 away wins versus 1 home win. I can tell you now, neither of them will get either. It'll be 0-0.
0-0. My prediction is slightly different. Gateshead have got to start winning. Sorry, Craig. And it's going to be this weekend. 1-0 Gateshead. Sorry. Louis?
It won't be this weekend. Game will get called off.
Are you sure you're not on commentary for this game predicting a 0-0, Craig?
Yeah, I can't travel all the way to Gateshead, mate, just to do some
comment. Yeah, I think tough game, too close to call. I've gone 1-1. I've sat on that fence again.
Yeah, to be honest, there's that many games this weekend that have been like. I think this might be the toughest one we've had in terms of predicting and everything, because there's a lot of them that could go either way. Next up, we've got Morecambe Truro. Louis?
Yeah, obviously Jim Bentley's first home game since coming back in as manager. I think there'll be a great atmosphere down at Morecambe. They'll get their fans back in. Obviously, club legend, as we've spoken about, but only 5 goals scored in their last 5 matches. Just a lack of goal scorer for them. Obviously, looking about it, Popov missed a few chances last night, and Jack Nolan's their top scorer with 6 goals, and a lot of them were strikes from outside the box. So they have that bit of quality, but it comes from midfield. It comes from long range strikes, free kicks, as it did on Tuesday night. And again for Truro, 1 win in 6 in the league, 2 defeats in that time, but they did come against Rochdale and York. Yeah, 1 win in 6 isn't great, but it's one of those for Truro where you'd rather get points than lose them. But yeah, I do worry for them. 5 goals in their last 5 games, and 3 of those came in their home game against Brackley. They haven't scored in 64% of their away games, and obviously they haven't picked up an away win yet. So I do worry for them on the road. This is similar to the Boston Sutton game. This is going to be a low margins. It's going to be a nervy game. I think Morecambe just edge this one 1-0.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the similar one that I said on the last one. Morecambe have got to start winning, and that's this weekend. 2-1 Morecambe. But again, like I said, this is me thinking these teams have to start winning. Craig?
Yeah, I think they'll win as well this weekend. I think they'll have a better atmosphere than it has been there, and that will lift the players. I think especially if they score early, this could end up being quite comfortable for them. I'm going to go 2-0 to Morecambe.
Next up, we've got a game I'm looking forward to, Rochdale, Carlisle. Rochdale, like I've said, I'm running out of positives to talk about, but just looking at their form, they've won the last 5 in a row in the league. They've only conceded twice. One of them was a penalty, one of them, and the other one was like a free kick that there was a bit of a mix-up at the back. But in generally, from open play, they look absolutely solid as a rock. So I worry how Carlisle are going to be able to break them down in this one. Rochdale obviously top of the table. Carlisle did win against Altrincham at the weekend, but before that we were winless in 3. Having lost to York, drawn with Solihull, and lost to Chatham Town in the FA Trophy. Obviously, question marks over Hughes and things like that, but this is going to be a tough game, tough place to go, and we have struggled against the teams in and around this area of the table. We've been to York and got played off the park. We've been to Boreham Wood and got played off the park. I think this might be the same. I've gone 2-0 Rochdale on this one. Craig?
Yeah, this will be a big test of Mark Hughes, obviously. He's had his critics in these games, and you're probably one of the worst form teams in the top 7 when playing against each other, and that is ultimately why you're not up there. I think Louis told us a stat last week that when you played the bottom 12, you've got like 36 or 37 points or something along them lines. It's very, very high. That's where the majority of your points have come from. You've lost them in these games. Will he have learned anything? Will he maybe shut up shop and then try and plan a counter? Because you did that a little bit against Altrincham when you got a bit of success. Let them have a little bit more of the ball, and then sprung on them with Adji Boy, and he was very successful in that game. Callum put the tweet out earlier on our socials about who's the best of the rest after the top 2, who's most likely to challenge them, and I said Carlisle. I don't know why I keep doubling down on your team, Dan. I really don't, but they have to get something out of February. And then I looked at this game and I thought, no, I can't see them getting something out of this. But if they do, then that small glimmer of hope becomes Still a small glimmer of hope, but just a tiny little bit bigger. But I'm going to go 2-1 to Carlisle here. 2-1 to Rochdale here.
Wow, I was going to say, blooming hell. Louis?
Yeah, I think this is probably your biggest game of the season now. If you lose it, I mean, it's a very slim chance of winning the title, but if you do lose it, I think it's goodbye to the title. Yeah, I think Rochdale is just a class above. Rochdale and York are just a class above, and I think there'll be a class above in this game. I've gone 2-0 Rochdale.
Yeah, like I say, as well, when they came up here, they were too good for us when they came up here as well and won comfortably. Next up, we've got Scunthorpe Southend. Craig?
Yes, Scunthorpe are 7 unbeaten in the league, and we just took that Carlisle's form against the other teams around them. That's probably one of Scunthorpe's actual strengths this season, is in getting competitive and getting good results against the other teams. I believe they have only lost to Carlisle, and even then there was decisions that went there against them, and rubber the green didn't go their way, so they could have easily won that one. They have got to recover from losing in the trophy to Horsham. That was a setback because that was something they could potentially go and win. On the flip side, Southend are coming in off the confidence of that because they're still in the trophy. Granted, they weren't outstanding against Chatham, but they got the goals, with a goal to win the game, which is already enough. Their last 2 games, though, they've probably a bit disappointed because they've dropped out the playoffs after drawing away to Boston and then losing away at Rochdale. I put my teeth back in for that one. But they do have 2 games in hand over Halifax, but they won't want that gap to grow because Halifax are a team that's in good form, and you want them games in hand to be putting you back above them, not starting to have to chase them down. Gus Scott Morris obviously is back in the goals. It seems to be he's finding them goals that he had last season back into his game. I think he's scored 6 in the last 7, or at least 6 in goal involvements. I think it is in the last 7 games. So he's been very influential in what he's doing up there. Harry Boyes on the other side is a fantastic player, but he seemed to have gone under the radar and not been as influential as Gus Scott Morris in the last couple of months. But for all of that talk about this team doing that well, this team doing that well, I'm sitting on the fence on this one. 1-1.
Yeah, I mean, Craig mentioned the post that Callum put out earlier about if anyone was going to break from the chasing pack, who was going to challenge for the title. I picked Scunthorpe. I think these are the games where they perform better, but I think this game could be quite a good game of football, entertaining. So I've gone 3-2 Scunthorpe in this one. Louis?
Yeah, I've been quite positive on Scunthorpe. I think I tipped a few weeks ago before sort of the hype came around, but they were still in the title race. I still think they are potentially with the slimmest chance in this title race, given their games in hand, given their record against the sides in and around them. They lose very few games as well, which is obviously a benefit as well. I think they get through this game. Southend's record against the top 7 is fairly poor as well, so I've gone 2-1 Scunthorpe.
Next up, we've got Tamworth Hartlepool. Louis?
Yeah, thanks for giving me this game. Really exciting one, this one.
You're welcome.
Tamworth,
You're welcome.
2 goals, two goals scored in their last 5 games. Lost twice at home in 90 minutes. Lost twice at home in 90 minutes in the last 10 games. So not the worst home record from them. But 38% of Tamworth's home games have totaled 1 goal or less. So really low margins games for them. And they could be 5 points from the relegation zone if results do go against them this weekend. So it's an important game for them to maybe get that win that they need just to give themselves that extra buffer on the relegation zone. A Hartlepool side again who don't score goals, as we said, 3 goals in their last 5 matches, but such a strong defence that they've got 0.97 goals conceded per match, despite conceding 3 to Aldershot in their last game. Last 3 games have ended in draws between these two. I do not see anything other than an absolute 0-0 stinker in this one.
I don't see many goals either, but I've actually gone 1-0 Tamworth in this one. I think they'll be off someone's backside, falls in the back of the net off a long throw or something like that. It's not going to be one for the football purists, I don't think. Craig?
Yeah, results like the one I'm going to go for could mean the end of that cycle for now for Nicky Featherstone, because I think he's going to start coming under pressure, especially if they do lose to Tamworth. I'm going to go 2-1 Tamworth.
Next up, we've got Woking Boreham Wood. Woking, they're a very mixed bag. So I was looking at their stats. So they've won 1 in the last 6. They did get through in the FA Trophy to the quarterfinals, to be fair. So they've got that to look forward to. But in the league, they're capable of going to Carlisle and winning 3-1, but they're also capable of, coming unstuck and
Losing
leading
at home to
twice.
Braintree.
Yeah, like they are a very I feel like I say this about a few teams, but Woking really are, a mixed bag. I think that's better than dry toast. I think that's what Mark obviously referred to them at the start of the season. Boreham Wood, they need to stop this rot. And I said about it earlier when I was talking about the Rochdale game. It's not about they are doing better than what they ever could have thought, but they were in the title conversation a few weeks ago. I remember we had a Boreham Wood supporter on here when they were going into the FA Cup against Burton, and we were like, yeah, it could distract them from the title race, that type of thing. And since that FA Cup game, they've only won once. So it's about now they need to really focus on the league, stop the rot. I think they stop the rot here, but I don't think they win. So I've gone for 2-2 in this one. Craig?
Yeah, I pretty much agree with that. I don't think Woking's home form has ever been great this season. They obviously had that great result against Hartlepool, but that came on the back of losing to us and to Scunthorpe in 2 back-to-back home games. They've lost their last 2 games away from home, so that they might be glad to be back home. But I can just see this one fizzling out, being quite a cagey affair. Boreham Wood not being able to play their best stuff. Woking probably not good enough to kill them like Rochdale did, like Scunthorpe did. So I'm going to go 1-1.
And Louis?
Yeah, need a big long fence for this one. I've gone 2-2 on this one. I've gone with you, Dan. I think it could be a good weekend for Boreham Wood, considering everyone else at the top is playing each other. So it could look a lot rosier come 5 p.m. on Saturday night. But yeah, 2-2 for me.
Next up, we've got York versus Forest Green, another standout game of the weekend. Craig?
Yeah, so York are 18 unbeaten. But what's impressed me is the last 3 games. They've scored 10, but they've also shut up shop completely and haven't conceded any. They've scored the most goals in the top 5 leagues in English football, 76 goals. That's no mean feat. We could probably be playing for about 4 seasons at the minute, Braintree, and winning at 76 goals. Forest Green, Tuesday night was obviously a massive win for them. 2 wins in the last 5. The last 2 goals have had 11. Last 2 games have had 11 goals in them. So it does feel like there's goals in this game. And we spoke earlier about the top 2 and then the rest. If York and Rochdale both win this week, I believe it is the top 2. And then there's no point talking about any of the others for the title if York and Rochdale both win this weekend. And I think York will win. I'm going to go York 3, Forest Green 1.
I had a feeling you were going to say that. I've got 3-1 York as well. Louis?
Yeah, I'm almost close to you. I think as much as Forest Green are very good in attack, I think the way in which Savage sets his teams up to keep going in attack and keep going for goals is just going to fall into York's hands, because I think they'll just pick them off. So I have gone 3-0 York on this one.
Yeah, I agree with what Craig said as well about if Rochdale and York both win this weekend, you can forget about everybody else. And then last up is the 5:30 game. I'll be perfectly honest. This is no disrespect to anybody, but out of all the games we've spoken about, I can't believe that this game has been chosen as the 5:30 game. But who knows? Louis, over to you, mate. Sorry, we gave you another stinker. Sorry.
Yeah, Eastleigh versus Wealdstone. Good job, the zone. It's an important game for Eastleigh, to be fair. Must-win game for them. We said that a couple of weeks now, I think, but they need to stop that rut of 5 defeats on the bounce. They've conceded 15 goals in that time, so 3 goals a game on average. The point is that they are creating chances. When you look at their last 2 games, they've had an XG of 5.32 and 33 attempts in their games. So they are creating chances. They just need to take them, because if they don't, they're going to end up sliding down the table. And I think we've spoken about it. Are they the Dagenham Redbridge from last year? And I looked at the comparison between the two. On the 3rd of January, when you look at where both sides were, Dagenham Redbridge last year were 25 games, 32 points, 9 points clear of the drop. And Eastleigh on the 3rd of January were 25 games, 31 points, and 8 points clear of the drop. So very, very similar seasons. Whether they, can get themselves out of it, they just need a couple of wins, I think, just to give them that breathing space. Wealdstone obviously had that fantastic result against Forest Green in the FA Trophy. That could give them some belief. They've had 3 clean sheets on the bounce in all competitions compared to the 10 goals conceded in the 3 games prior to that. So complete chalk and cheese from them. They've been stronger at home though, so only 13 points from a possible 42 on the road, but 56% of their wins have been by a 1-goal margin for Wealdstone. Again, I think this would be a low-scoring game. I think it would be a narrow margins game. I've gone 1-1 on this one. I've sat on that fence again.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think there'll be many goals. I don't think this will be a classic by any description. I was going to go with my usual, what I've said about Morecambe, they need to start winning. But I actually think Wealdstone win this one. I've gone 1-0 away win in this one. I really, again, I worry for Eastleigh. They just don't look like, there's no signs of any recovery from them at the moment. Craig?
Yeah, and another manager that might be on the chopping block if things don't start going their way. All day I've been adamant they're not going to win, but I don't know why. I've just got a feeling they're going to win this one now. I do not know why, but it's worked for me in the past where I've flip-flopped at the last minute. I've done it with Morecambe a couple of times and they've turned up for me. I'm going to go 2-1 Eastleigh.
Yeah, I mean, so someone's going to get some points there then, because I've got an away win, Louis got a draw, Craig's got a home win, so someone's going to win some points there. But that's it for the games. Obviously, there's midweek games next week. We'll cover them on Sunday's podcast. Mark will be back with us, I think, on Sunday, so we should have a full house potentially, give or take. Louis, I think you're available, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. Me and Craig will be here.
We're always here, mate.
Yeah, we're always here. We're always here. It's normally the other two off gallivanting somewhere, but yeah. So that's it from us. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. We're on 931, I think, last time I checked. So 69 more, and we're there. So if you haven't, don't forget to like and subscribe while you're here. If you like what you see, thanks everyone who has subscribed and watched so far. Thanks to Craig and Louis for joining me, and we will see you again next time. Take care.